Okay, good afternoon, students. As we are discussing about the anatomy of the respiratory system, okay, we are left with the larynx. Clear? We are discussing about the larynx, okay, or the voice box. Okay, yesterday we had seen about that is thyroid cartilage, and next one is the epiglottis, and the third one is cricoid cartilage. Okay, this larynx is made up of thyroid cartilage. Next one is epiglottis, and the third one is the cricoid cartilage. If you see this cricoid cartilage, which is a ring of hyaline cartilage. Okay, what is this cricoid cartilage? It is a ring of hyaline cartilage. Okay, if you see this cricoid cartilage, it's made up of a ring of hyaline cartilage. Okay, mainly it forms the inferior wall of the larynx, and it is attached to the first ring of cartilage of trachea. Clear? As the trachea is also made up of the rings, okay, which this mainly cricoid cartilage, which will be attaches to the first ring of cartilage of the trachea, mainly by cricotracheal ligament. Clear? How? Which is attached to the trachea mainly by cricotracheal ligament. Clear? And this thyroid cartilage is connected to this cricoid cartilage mainly by cricothyroid ligament. Okay, what is this cricothyroid ligament? Okay, that means cricoid cartilage will be attaches to the thyroid cartilage. Okay, this cricoid cartilage attaches to the thyroid cartilage with the help of this cricothyroid ligament. Okay, and this cricoid cartilage attaches to the trachea with the help of cricotracheal ligament. Clear? See, and it is a landmark for making an emergency airway. Clear? See that you will call it as tracheotomy. Okay, this mainly this cricoid cartilage, which will be acting like a landmark for making an emergency airway. Okay, if anybody wants an airway that is in an emergency, they will use with the help of this cricoid cartilage. See, that's why it will be acting like a landmark for the making an emergency airway. See that you will call it as tracheotomy. Okay, this that terminology you will call it as a tracheotomy. See again, if you see, which is made up of three types of cartilages. Okay, this cricoid cartilage again, which will be made up of three types of cartilage. See that you will call it as arytenoid cartilages. Okay, arytenoid cartilages and corniculate cartilages, and the third one is cuneiform cartilage. Okay, again this cricoid cartilage is made up of these three different types of cartilages, that is arytenoid cartilages, corniculate cartilages, and the cuneiform cartilages. Okay, see that's all about the larynx, okay, which is made up of three different types of cartilages, that is thyroid cartilage, epiglottis, and next one is the cricoid cartilage. Okay, next we'll see about the next part of this respiratory system is the trachea, right? See the next part to this larynx, we are having this trachea. Okay, this trachea you will also call it as a windpipe. Clear? See larynx you will call it as a voice box, and this trachea you will call it as a windpipe, right? See, it is extend from the larynx towards the lungs. Okay, mainly it is going to be extends from larynx to the lungs. That means in between to the larynx and the lungs, in the middle, we are having this trachea or the windpipe. Clear? See, and it is mainly formed by 16 to 20 stacked okay, that is C-shaped pieces of hyaline cartilage, okay, that are connected by a connective tissue. Clear? See, generally, stacks that is C-shaped, okay, how it will be, okay, this type of cartilages, okay, like this, which will be having that is 16 to 20 stacked C-shaped pieces of hyaline cartilage. Okay, this individually you will call it as a hyaline cartilage. Okay, how many it will be present? Around 16 to 20 pieces of this hyaline cartilage, and each of this hyaline cartilage, okay, these two, okay, these together, this will be connected with the help of a connective tissue. Okay, how it is going to be connected? With the help of connective tissue, right? See, what is this? It is mainly extends from the larynx to the lungs, and it is formed by 16 to 20, okay, stacked C-shaped pieces of hyaline cartilages, and they are connected by a connective tissue. Clear? And here you are also having a flexible membrane, call it as fibroelastic membrane. Okay, that is fibro elastic membrane, okay, which is an elastic membrane, that is flexible membrane, will be present in the windpipe. You will call it as fibroelastic membrane, okay, which is going to be closest the posterior surface of the trachea. Mainly it is going to be closest the posterior surface of trachea. Clear? See, what is this fibroelastic membrane? This is going to be closest the posterior surface of the trachea. Okay, and this membrane is going to be allows the trachea to stretch during inhalation and exhalation. See, not only that, this fibroelastic membrane that will be useful to stretch the trachea. Clear? It is going to be used to stretch the trachea during inhalation and exhalation process. Clear? During this inhalation and exhalation process, this fibroelastic membrane that will be useful to stretch this trachea. Clear? And mainly the rings provides structural support and prevent from collapsing. Clear? See, as which is made up of 16 to 20 rings, which is made up of hyaline cartilage. Okay, see that rings, okay, that is going to be provides structural support. Okay, these rings are going to be providing the structural support, and it is useful from preventing collapse. Okay, and next one is it is mainly lined by pseudostratified ciliated columnar epithelium. Okay, pseudo stratified ciliated columnar epithelium, okay, that contains goblet cells. Okay, mainly this is going to be contains the goblet cells. Okay, see this pseudostratified ciliated columnar epithelium, okay, which is mainly consisting of this goblet cells. Okay, this is about the trachea. Okay, what is this trachea? It is extends from the larynx to the lungs, and which is made up of 16 to 20, okay, C-shaped rings, which is made up of hyaline cartilage, and they are connected with the help of the connective tissue. Clear? It is also having one flexible membrane. You will call it as a fibroelastic membrane. Okay, that is going to be closes the posterior surface of the trachea, and not only that, this will be useful to stretch the trachea during inhalation and exhalation process. Clear. See, and whatever the rings that will be present in case of the trachea, that is going to be giving structural support to this trachea, and that will be useful to prevent from the collapse. Clear. And it is mainly made up of pseudostratified ciliated columnar epithelium, and which is made up of the goblet cells. Okay, see, that's about the windpipe or the trachea. Next, we'll see about the bronchi. Next part is bronchi. Okay, this trachea branches into right and left primary bronchi. So suppose if you see, this is a trachea or the windpipe. Okay, see, this will be branches into, okay, that is left and right primary bronchi. Okay, this we will call it as a primary bronchi. So this is this one, and this one you will call it as a primary bronchi. Clear? So this is a trachea. Okay, this trachea is branches into right and left primary bronchi. Okay, see, mainly at carina. Okay, this part. Okay, this part you will call it as carina. Okay, where this trachea is going to be branching into the right and left primary bronchi, that part you will call it as a carina. Okay, see, this carina is a raised structure that is going to be contains specialized nervous tissue that induces violent coughing if a foreign body is present. Clear? See, this part, if you see this part, you will call it as a carina, and if you see this carina, it is a raised structure. Okay, this carina, which is a raised structure, mainly it consisting of, okay, that is specialized, okay, nervous tissue. See, that means what is the importance of this nervous tissue? Okay, this is going to be induces violent coughing. Okay, whenever any foreign material or the particle is entered inside our body, okay, through this trachea, immediately this carina is going to be induces the violent coughing, okay, whenever the foreign particle is going to be entered into this trachea. Clear? See, and it is also lined by pseudostratified ciliated columnar epithelium containing the goblet cells, same like that of the trachea. Clear? See, whatever the trachea which is made up of, that is pseudo stratified ciliated columnar epithelium. Okay, the same epithelium which will be present in case of the trachea, that continues this bronchi also. Clear? And this also consisting of the goblet cells. Clear? As like of the trachea, see here also which consisting of the goblet cells. And the rings of the cartilage, okay, support the structure of the bronchi and prevent from the collapse. Clear? See, this primary bronchi, which is also made up of the rings like that of the trachea, and which also gives structural support for this bronchi, and also which is going to be preventing from the collapse. Clear? This primary bronchi enters into the lung at the hilum. Clear? See, mainly this primary bronchi enters into the lungs at a particular part, you will call it as a hilum. See, that means specifically here, this part where it is going to be entering into the lungs, this part you will call it as a hilum. Clear? See, what is this hilum? This primary bronchi enters into the lungs at the hilum. Okay, this primary bronchi again, which will be divided into the secondary bronchi. Okay, if you see, this will be again divided into, see, this you will call it as a secondary bronchi. Clear? See, this primary bronchi, again it is divided into Okay, secondary bronchi. Clear. Further branches of these secondary bronchi is called bronchioles. Clear. From this secondary bronchi, the branches you will call it as bronchioles. Clear. If you see like this branches you will call it as a bronchioles. Clear. See, this is a primary bronchi. The branches of this primary bronchi will call it as a secondary bronchi, and the branches of this secondary bronchi will call it as a bronchioles. Clear. Which further divided into microscopic branches call it as a respiratory bronchioles. Okay, this bronchioles further divided into the branches, you will call it as a respiratory bronchioles. Clear. See, and this bronchioles lacks the cartilage. See, whatever this bronchioles and the respiratory bronchioles will be present, they are going to be lacks the cartilage. Clear. And contains only the muscular wall, okay, which changes the size of the tube during the airflow. Clear. See, this is about the bronchi. Okay, see, and mainly if you see the functions of this bronchi, which is going to be providing a passageway for the air to move in and out of the lungs. Clear. See, what is the main function of this bronchi? Which provides a passageway for the air to move into and out of the lungs. Clear. See, and whatever the goblet cells, clear, I already told you which is made up of this goblet cells. So see, that means which is going to be secreting the mucus. Clear. So this mucus is going to be traps the debris or the waste materials and also the pathogens that is going to be entered inside this bronchi. Okay, see, these two are the two main functions of this bronchi. See, the first thing is provides a passage for air, okay, to move in and out from the lungs. And next one is the mucous membrane, okay, whatever the mucous membrane that will be present inside this bronchi, okay, that will be useful to trap the debris as well as the pathogens. Okay, see, that's all about the bronchi. Okay, next we'll see about the last part of the respiratory system, that is the lungs. Okay, finally we'll see about the lungs. See, these lungs, if you see, paired cone shaped organs in the thoracic cavity. Okay, paired cone shaped organs in the thoracic cavity, we will call it as these lungs. If you see, clear, mainly a pair of lungs will be present. Clear. See, mainly in the thoracic cavity. Okay, they are separated from each other by the heart. Clear. If you see these two lungs, okay, here exactly, if you see in the middle, you are having the heart. Clear. The two lungs are separated by the heart. Okay, each lung is protected by a double layer of serous membrane. Okay, call it as a pleural membrane. Clear. See, generally if you see, these lungs are totally made up of double layer of serous membrane, okay, which is made up of, okay, double layer of, okay, serous membrane. Okay, this you will call it as a pleural membrane. Okay, this membrane you will call it as a pleural membrane. The superficial layer you will call it as a parietal pleura, and the deeper layer you will call it as a visceral pleura. Okay, see this superficial layer, the outermost layer, that you will call it as a parietal pleura. Okay, this part you will call it as a parietal pleura, and the deeper layer, okay, this one you will call it as a, okay, that is visceral flora. Okay, this is the double layer. The outer layer you will call it as a parietal flora, and the deeper layer you will call it as a visceral flora. Okay, between these two layers, a space is known as pleural cavity. Okay, see that means here whatever the space, okay, that will be present. Okay, this space you will call it as a pleural cavity. Okay, the space between these two layers you will call it as a pleural cavity. Okay, which contains the lubricating fluid, which reduces the friction between the two layers. Clear? As we are discussing about the layers of these lungs, okay, made up of a double layer of serous membrane, you will call it as a pleural membrane. See, that means the superficial layer you will call it as a parietal pleura, and the deeper layer you will call it as a visceral pleura. In between these two layers you are having one cavity, you will call it as a pleural cavity, which is having the lubricating fluids. That lubricating fluid is going to be reducing the friction between these two layers. Clear? The inferior portion of the lung is known as the base. Clear? Is concave and fits over the convex area of the diaphragm. See, this part you will call it as a base, and this part is the apex. Okay, if you see the part here, this is the base and that is the apex. See the inferior, see this is the superior portion and this is the inferior portion, right? See this inferior part which is forming the base, okay, and which is going to be fits here, you are having the diaphragm. Clear? Here you are having the diaphragm. The inferior portion you will call it as a base, that is going to be fits onto this diaphragm. Clear? The superior portion of the lung you will call it as a apex. Clear? Left lung contains a concavity, you will call it as a cardiac notch. Clear? See this part, the left lung which is having a notch, that is, okay, concavity, this you will call it as a, that is cardiac notch. Clear? See where this cardiac notch will be present in case of the left lung. See, in which the apex of the heart is going to be lies. Okay, so that the size of the left lung will be smaller when compared to the right lung. Clear? See, as this left lung which is having a notch, you will call it as a cardiac notch. See, because of this notch, the left lung is smaller when compared to the right lung. Clear? See, and next one is both the lungs have oblique fissures, okay, which separates each lung into the superior and the inferior lobes. Clear? If you see, this is the, what are the different fissures? Okay, the oblique fissures. If you see the left lung, that will be divided into two parts, that is the superior and the inferior lobes. Okay, this is the superior lobe and this is the inferior lobe. And if you see this right lung, okay, which is having two fissures, okay, which is also having the horizontal fissure also. Here the left lung which is lacking this horizontal fissure, okay, this horizontal fissure will not be present in case of the left lung, it will be present only in case of the right lung. So that this right lung which will be divided into three lobes, okay, that is superior, middle and the inferior lobes. But if you see the left lung which will be divided into the superior as well as the inferior lobes, and because of the presence of these horizontal fissures, this right lung which will be divided into superior, middle as well as the inferior lobes. Clear? And next we'll see about alveoli. See, that's all about the lungs. Okay, next we'll see about this alveoli. See, that means the respiratory bronchioles divides into alveolar ducts. Clear? See, previously while discussing the bronchi, I told you the bronchioles are divided into respiratory bronchioles. Clear? See, this respiratory bronchioles are divides into alveolar ducts. Clear that respiratory bronchioles is divided into alveolar ducts. Okay, around these alveolar ducts, numerous alveoli and the sacs will be present. Clear, around this alveolar duct, we are having numerous alveoli will be present around this alveolar duct. Clear, see the alveolus is one of the many sacs attached to the alveolar duct. Okay, if you take one, you will call it as alveolus. See this alveolus, which is a singular, it is one of the many sacs that is attached to this alveolar ducts. And alveolus is approximately, if you see, 200 micrometer in diameter. Clear, and with elastic walls which increases the surface area for the gaseous exchange. Mainly this alveolus is made up of the elastic wall. See, because of this elastic wall which is going to be increasing the surface area for the gas exchange. Clear, and this alveolar wall consisting of three major cell types. Okay, this alveolar wall, okay, whatever this alveolar wall will be present, which is made up of three different types of cells. Okay, that is type 1 alveolar cells. The next one is type 2 alveolar cells, and next one is alveolar macrophages. Okay, see, these are the three types of cells that will be present in case of the alveoli. That is type 1 alveolar cells and type 2 alveolar cells and the alveolar macrophages. Clear? We'll see one by one about these three different types of cells that are present in case of the alveoli. Okay, first we'll see about type 1 alveolar cells. Okay, see this cells which is made up of squamous epithelial. Again, it is made up of squamous epithelial cells, okay, which constitute 97% of the alveolar surface area. Okay, it constitutes about 97% of the surface area of the alveoli. If you see, if the alveoli totally 100%, among that 97% is the type 1 alveolar cells. Clear? And it is 25 nanometers thick. Okay, which is 25 nanometers thick, and it is highly permeable to the gases. And next one is type 2 alveolar cells. It is going to be interspersed among the type 1 and secretes pulmonary surfactant, okay, that is going to be reduces the surface tension of the alveoli. Clear? So this type of cells that are present in between these type 1 cells and which is going to be producing the pulmonary surfactant, okay, that is going to be reduces the surface tension of the alveoli. And the third one is alveolar macrophages. If you see, these are the phagocytic cells that removes the debris and pathogens that reaches the alveoli. Clear? See, this is going to be removes if there is any debris or any pathogens that has been entered into this alveoli, that can be removed with the help of this alveolar macrophages. Clear? This alveoli and the capillary membrane, okay, that is going to be forms a respiratory membrane. See this alveoli along with the capillary membrane. If you see these two together, which is forming a respiratory membrane, okay, and that is 0.5 nanometer thick. It is about 0.5 nanometers thickness. Okay, this respiratory membrane mainly allows the gases to cross by simple diffusion. Clear? See, this is going to be allows the gases to cross this membrane mainly by simple diffusion. See, that's all about the alveoli, okay, which is made up of these three different types of cells, that is type 1, type 2, and type 3. Clear? See, that's all, students, about the anatomy of this respiratory system.